Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. Today is kind of a rant on why I love single-player games, why I think they're so special, why I think it's one of the most wonderful forms of escapism within games today. I have friends that just rave about multiplayer. That's really what they're into. I got into kind of a little, not a dispute, but we were just talking about what we like about, multiplayer versus single player and all that. And my friends are all excited about the new Star Wars game. Oh, it's going to be a fantastic multiplayer. The new Titanfall, we can't wait and all this. And I validate why they love these multiplayer experiences. I don't want to, put a wet blanket on anyone's or rain on anyone's parade. If you're looking forward to, to the new Destiny or the new Star Wars game, they'll be coming down the road. And a lot of these epic, huge, Destiny games and... I think the Tom Clancy's The Division, The Crew, many of these wonderful multiplayer, heavy server-based cloud games seem to be the big thing of the day. And I think for those that want them, I think that's a wonderful option to have them. Why they don't have single-player campaigns, and I'd love to have a single-player, Star Wars game, to be honest with you. There'd be nothing that would excite me more. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm getting one of the original GameCubes. Is because I want to play those Star Wars games I never had a chance to play. With the old school TIE fighters and X-Wing fighters, to me that's like my kind of game. Even if they're a little dated, I think it's pretty cool. So, I get friends of mine that are just raving about this new Titanfall. And that's great. If you enjoy the Titanfall and it's something that you're having fun with, that's great. I'm the type of person where I don't like seasonal things that are in today, but, let's say a couple years from now you want to play them, you can't because it's no longer popular, or they pull the plug on the servers, or now the new thing is something else. And so multiplayer to me is like it's not even within the equation. I love like split-screen multiplayer games on the couch, with my nephews and with my friends. To me, that's and I did a whole rant on that. That's what I love about multiplayer. To me, that's real multiplayer. It's the real social interaction with a friend, with a beer, on the couch. You can sit and laugh at them raging. You can have fun, either playing with them or against them, whether it's co-op or a death match. It's so much fun. So that part of single player I like, but one of the reasons why I never liked seasonal sandwiches at McDonald's, I don't know how it is in the UK, but here in the States, a certain time of year they have this, what is it called, a McRib sandwich. To this day I've never had one. It might be great, who knows? But just knowing that it's not seasonal, what if I like it and I want to have it at certain times a year and I can't? I'm not interested. They have a Shamrock Shake that comes around St. Patrick's Day at McDonald's. I will never have one of them because I don't want... What if I get attached to it and I want to have it a month later, but I can no longer have it? So that's one of those little weird kind of idiosyncrasies that I have. But I tend to... And that's one of the reasons why I love McDonald's is because whether you go to one in Portland, Maine or in, Fresno, California, it's exactly the same food. You know what to expect. And that's why a lot of people love Call of Duty. It's like the McDonald's of, first-person shooters. And, in fact, I have a review coming soon on this. I've captured a bunch of footage. I love this game. I've really had a lot of fun with this. Again, not for me. This and Battlefield and Killzone, Shadowfall, I got all for the PlayStation 4 just for the campaigns. I will never touch the multiplayer. Now, I did do a little bit of the local... I don't know, the squad mode or something I think it's called at Ghost, just to see what it's like for my review. And it's okay. It gives you, at least you have a chance within a single player capacity to try, against the AI bots and to try all the maps. And you could level up, so if you wanted to go into multiplayer, you could at least level your character up, which is cool. It's a good idea. That I like. Unfortunately, the other mode, I can only do online. I don't have the PlayStation Plus, so I couldn't try the... extension mode or whatever it's called with the alien bug things. But all of those games I like just for the campaigns. I don't care if they're 4 hours long. Yeah, Call of Duty Ghosts was actually pretty short. I got through it probably maybe 6 or 7 hours. I'm not sure, but somewhere in there. And that's fine. Yeah, it would have been ideal if it had 10 or 12 hours to it, but that's fine. I had a good time with it. It was a little easy. I could easily go back through and play that on the hard level and have a blast with it. It's really a good roller coaster ride, and had a lot of fun playing it. I'm looking forward to playing, finishing Battlefield 4 and also trying the Killzone Shadowfall campaign. It looks really good. I've got a couple of friends of mine that have raved about it in spite of the jaded reviews on it. Everyone with a meh, it's okay attitude. So I think that boredom in life is a choice. I'm never bored. I honestly can say it's been years since I've actually been, quote, bored. I find things to do. That's why I have a huge movie collection. Sometimes if I'm beginning to feel like my options are limited at home, I take a drive in the car. I get out of the house. Or I go through some strategy guides and I read them and kind of think about games I'm thinking of playing, and just to kind of get excited. Or I'll watch some YouTube videos on games that are coming out or games that I'm pumped about. So I find things to do. And for me, the single-player campaign is one of the best ways to kill time. I've had, God, it's been well over 6 to 8 weeks of time off from work. This is very unusual this time of year. I'm usually slow this time of year, but not quite this slow. Just very competitive. You lose a lot of bids. But rather than complain about it, life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. I've always had that approach, and I find things to do. And it's been great. I had a chance to do a lot of these backlog of rants that I've wanted to do, which has been a lot of fun, and people seem to appreciate some of the rants. A little long, but the things I want to get off my chest, ways I wanted to express myself, I wanted to archive those feelings and topics so that people down the road can enjoy them even a couple years from now. And I think that's fun. One of the things I've talked about doing, just for my own edification and satisfaction, is I want to document and play. Right now I'm about 2/3 of the way through this wonderful Wolfenstein game, which I played back in 2009, and then I replayed a couple levels maybe a year or so later. And I've been talking about this game. Oh, I love this game. This is why I bought my Xbox 360. I love the strategy guide. It's just chock full of great stuff. It's a wonderful game, and I've been playing this again, this time capturing footage of almost every level. I have footage of me from a distance playing the game where you can see me on the couch reacting and playing the game, and then I have a lot of footage of just up close, showing the, just the full screen where you can see some of the action. So I'm going to be doing a very detailed and elaborate review of a lot of games this year that I'm anxious to play. The one that I'm going to be playing after that is the wonderful Singularity, which I got the wonderful guidebook as well for this. This is a fantastic game. This I never finished. I started to play this on my older profile and really loved it. It's also made by Raven Software, who made the Wolfenstein game, and it has a lot of the same RPG elements. This is kind of like a Half-Life 2 and meets Bioshock, and the same thing with Wolfenstein. Actually, the Wolfenstein people think is a reboot of the franchise, but in fact, it's a sequel to the Return to Castle. And I forgot about that. After watching the story again, they refer to characters and incidents that happened in Return to Castle that are mentioned in this one. So you can see it's an extension of the series, and I'm really excited. They got this new Boom Boom trailer for the Wolfenstein: The New Order, which looks fantastic. I cannot wait for that game. It looks even better than I originally thought. So it looks like their Machine Games is taking the time to polish the game a little bit more before it goes out, and I have no qualms with that. Even if it's a year, I'm willing to wait. I want it to be a perfect submersive, is an expression I coined a couple of years ago, experience where you're down inside or underneath the surface of that game, just well within it. I know the term immersive has been used to death. We hear it in reviews, you hear it in a lot of YouTube shows and channels, gaming news. The term is almost overused. Escapism, there's many other terms for it that are wonderful, but I love adventure games. I love the single-player experience. It offers something that there's nothing like it. And then when the times where I have downtime, or I'm, I won't use the word bored, but when I feel that I don't have much to do, I just look to my shelf of games, and I have tons of experiences that I can experience. I mean, I've been playing this Black game lately. I love this. I got this wonderful Indiana Jones game, which I'll probably, go back to playing again. Another fantastic game. I mean, there's so many experiences. Manhunt, which I'll be doing a review of as well. So I'm going to have a lot of games that I'm going to take that are my favorites, that are some of my most submersive or immersive experiences that I've enjoyed over the years. And I want to take the time just to archive it, to let you know why I love these games, why I think playing Wolfenstein or Singularity is so important, why I think they're such great under-the-radar kind of, underrated games that people just don't experience because the reviews were, I think the reviews overall were above average on both of those. But again, people that complain about the textures, I've been replaying the game and I cannot believe the detail. I think the textures and the graphics, even today, from 2009, hold up very well today. Sure, it doesn't have just the micro polish and particle effects of these new PlayStation 4 games and what have you, but I think it's very immersive and very fun. So I'm going to be doing my Wolfenstein review, and I just want it on record. This is why I think it's a fantastic game. I have friends of mine that have tried it. Some of them never even finished the game. They played a few levels. Yeah, it was okay. Well, it's the kind of thing where you've got to give it more time. The thing about the Raven Software game, Singularity and Wolfenstein, is as you level up, your character gets more powerful. I think that the leveling up alone and the collectibles within the single-player campaigns is one of the things that augments the game. I was watching a couple of reviews of Wolfenstein. They go, oh yeah, that game, you can blow through that 7 or 8 hours. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been over 16 hours in the game right now, and I'm only 2/3 of the way done. Because I take the time to find every single collectible. In my first playthrough, I found most of them. Even though I had the guide that pointed out where it was, I was so focused on the story and the action, and didn't want to get killed on my way to finding a collectible. And as you level up in that game, your characters, your enemies get more powerful as well. So it kind of behooves you early on in the game to find the hidden locations. They have gold, they have intel, and they have these things that are called tomes or tomes that are like special power abilities, and there's only so many of them. They're extremely well hidden. Some of them you'd never find if you didn't have a guide or didn't go on the internet. They're very hard to find. I have spent just last night over an hour trying to find a way to platform to this one, which they don't really show in the book. They let you know roughly in the map where it is, but they don't tell you how to get to it. And I mean, I almost thought, I have over 20 attempts on finding this one collectible and probably close to 30 attempts of locating another collectible. So I mean, I've invested a couple hours in finding just 2 collectibles. You know, I could have just passed on it, but to me, that's the challenge of the game. That's why I'll probably have, close to 20 hours in Wolfenstein in my second playthrough. And I'm getting great footage of that game along the way. It's a lot of fun. I had forgotten. That kind of inspired me. I went to bed last night. I had so much caffeine and Diet Pepsi, I couldn't sleep. So I'm there for a couple hours listening to this Pat Metheny CD on my new stereo in my bedroom, listening to it for, like on the 3rd playthrough. And I'm thinking about this rant. I said, I got to do a rant on, single-player games. God, I really love them so much. And I want to let people know why I think they're so important, why I think they're so special. Many of you feel the same way. I know the single-player campaigns, many think are here to stay. We're seeing many wonderful new games like the new Wolfenstein, the New Order. This new Mad Max game, I believe, will be multiplayer only. Single player only, but I'm not sure. There's The Evil Within, which looks pretty good as well. Dying Light, I think, is going to be single player. The Order 1886 could also be a heavy single-player game. Some of these I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure when they all come out, but I'm looking forward to them. I think they're going to be great games that'll give me something to look forward to that's new. But in the meantime, I got many other games. Now, as soon as I'm done with Wolfenstein, I'm going to do my review of Singularity. That one will be next. Which is a fantastic game. That game is really intense and creepy. In fact, Wolfenstein is kind of a survival horror in some elements to it. Really creepy. I was after a heart attack last night. I defeated 2, boss battles from hell last night that were intense. I had the surround cranked on it. Very intense. I really had a blast. Those games, it's a shame because you can buy a lot of these games so cheap. I just bought, yesterday I picked up Terminator Salvation for $10 at my mom and pop store. I had some extra credits on my Dimples card I didn't use up. So I went down and I got this game for, like $3 off or like $7 or something. And everyone is bad. Oh, the campaign's only 4 or 5 hours long. It's shit. It's no good. Well, I watched a couple of reviews, including Mark Bussler review this, which I remember his early review a long time ago. I rewatched it again. He liked the game. And I said, and I'd seen a couple others where people kind of liked it. And I go, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get it. I don't care what the jaded gamers and reviewers say. This looks like a lot of fun. I actually like the old Terminator games on the old PlayStation 1. I don't know. I think I had one on the Super NES. I'm not sure. They had them on the Sega Genesis and other ones as well. But I'm anxious to play this. So I'll probably play this after Wolfenstein. And if it's only a few hours, that's fine. I'll have my a good time with it. And this also looks like it'd be a real fun co-op game. It has like a split screen co-op, which my nephew and I would love this. So I picked it up just in case. It looks like a lot of fun. It has a nice campaign. I don't think it has multiplayer either, and I don't care. That's fine. I'll have a blast with it. I'll get my $7 worth. I gladly would pay $60 for a game like this. I don't care what the reviews are. I don't care what Angry Joe says about it and whines because it's only 4 hours long. For $7, I'll get my money's worth. Or even at $60, if I replay the game again on hard and have fun going after the achievements or something like that, you can have a lot of fun with a game like that. As soon as I'm done with the Wolfenstein Singularity, I'm going to finish I got 35 hours so far in Far Cry 3. I'm going to go through, I'm going to finish this wonderful Far Cry 3 game. I love this. I've been going through and finding. That's why I get 35 hours in it. I found this head on the beach. You get an achievement for locating the exact position of this head and where it's hidden on the beach. You can actually see this scene with the people hanging in the background. So I love going after the achievements. I love finding the collectibles. I unlocked every single pirate station on the first island already, all of the radio towers. I'm having a blast doing the side missions and crafting. Oh, I've already crafted everything to hold like 4 weapons. I love this. I can't wait to return to this story. This is like an incredible experience. Just playing a game. It's a real adventure. Kind of, the Wolfenstein kind of reminds me of like an Indiana Jones. It's the closest thing really to an Indiana Jones game. You're dealing with the Nazis. You're dealing with the Nazis with special powers like they had in the first Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's why I love it. It's an adventure. To me, they're real action-adventure games. I don't know if it's more action-heavy or more adventure-based, but... And it's sad, I see people that have played those games, and yeah, it was okay. It was kind of like an average Medal of Honor game. And it's like, well, how far did you get? I played a few levels. I just didn't do it for me. I go, well, no, I understand that, but give it time. The story gets better. The villains, the boss battles get better. And you eventually get into some really heavy-duty boss battles and situations in that game where you just feel overwhelmed and you need every weapon and special power that you can get. So, and especially with Singularity as well, the more of the time you take looking for those collectibles and hidden items, the more it helps you to level up, and it's more fun. So that in and of itself is a challenge. That's why I just wring as much out of the games as I can. I go after those collectibles. I have other friends who they're like insulted that they have to listen to audio logs. And Singularity has a lot of these recordings everywhere, kind of like the BioShock game where you listen to recordings. I love those. I can't get enough of the little tidbits and behind the scenes. They have a similar thing in Wolfenstein with intel, and you can read all this intel, and it gives you the backstory of the game, what the Nazis are up to, what they're doing, the characters involved, the tie-ins with the other games. To me, that adds a richness and a wealth to the game that ordinarily you just wouldn't have. So now I'm going to do the Far Cry 3, which I already did. I think that was the first review that I did. And who knows, I might even do a more extensive review of that one, because I really love that game. It's one of my favorite games of the year for that year. This wonderful Tomb Raider. As soon as I get a few bucks in my pocket, I'm getting this definitive edition for my PlayStation 4 of this. This is a fantastic adventure. This is one of the finest action-adventure games, kind of a Raiders of the Lost Ark or like the Uncharted series game that I've ever played. I found every single collectible. I got a really high achievement score in the single-player campaign in this on my Xbox 360. I have this installed in the 360. I love that game. That game I also did a pretty extensive review of and love it. So I'm going to take this year and do more reviews of newer games coming out that I'm excited about, like the new Mad Max game, like Wolfenstein The New Order. You better believe I'm going to do a very extensive, probably a good half-hour review of those in detail. So you have a choice. You can watch the jaded reviews of it. Oh, it was okay. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10 and all that. To me, it doesn't do anything. I'm actually getting to the point where I'm sick of watching reviews because there's so many great games and all people care about is that number. What? 6.5? Oh, forget that. This new Rambo game that's coming out. I've already seen a couple videos of gameplay of the first couple levels. And I'm actually, each night I'm watching a little bit more of it. And I think it looks fine. It's kind of like that Call of Juarez Gunslinger, that Xbox Live arcade game. It's a kind of an arcade shooter. It's a lot like Soldier of Fortune Payback, real cheesy. Just a real, just hardcore, violent, over-the-top action shooter. It has some repetitive elements to it, for sure. The graphics are so-so in parts of it, for sure. There are a few little idiosyncrasies visually I noticed about it, but I think it looks like a lot of fun. It's only $40. I'll gladly get that. I'll find the fun, and I'll do a review of that game. Guaranteed. Because I guarantee you my review will be one of probably 2 or 3 on the planet that'll be somewhat fun and positive reviews. I'll find the fun in that game, and I'll do a brief review, but I think it'll be fun. Or an impressions video or something of that game. But I love the campaigns of these games. I've got more, Aliens Colonial Marines. I watched a friend of mine did a Stasis Interrupted. I watched like over an hour of gameplay of that, of the DLC, which I have downloaded in this, Aliens Colonial Marines. And I'm anxious to play it. It looks great. I don't care what anybody says. This is, I really was shitting my pants on certain levels on this game. I thought it was a great game. It was very intense. I wish I hadn't seen, at the time I had watched way too many reviews of this, was letting those reviews affect my my feelings about the game, because I really liked it. And I felt, mentally drained after defending my position on the game with so many friends on Facebook and on Twitter and YouTube that just hated the game. And it got to the point, I don't even think I finished the game. I'm near the end of it, the last couple levels, and it just put such a bad taste in my mouth, I just shelved the game for a while. So I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm being more selective with what I take into my mind, who I listen to. Now I kind of write off, okay, those reviewers typically are down on games, so I'll take it with a grain of salt. Or, you know what, I'll just pass on them all. I'm not interested in what they have to say, because it doesn't come from the heart. It comes from a bored gamer or a jaded gamer that's just disenchanted with gaming. And it's sad, because I have friends that got into, they want to be a gaming journalist. They thought it'd be so cool. I love video games. Yeah, I know, I'll be a gaming journalist. And now they hate their job. I see a lot of them, they don't look happy. They don't like the fact that they're under pressure to review a game, and they tend to give it a tainted score because of it, which I've talked about in some of my other reviews. Sleeping Dogs, I did a lengthy review of this, another wonderful single-player adventure. I didn't miss the multiplayer at all in this. I got a lot of DLC for this. This is a gem. If you've never played this, you want to play a really cool open-world game with some awesome martial arts, action, and melee, you got to play that Sleeping Dogs. Another wonderful game. I want to see a sequel to that. I can't wait. Those are my kind of games. Spec Ops: The Line, another fantastic. You've got to play this if you've never played it. It's not your typical average military shooter. This actually has some really thought-provoking morals and things it's trying to tell you within the story. In fact, there was a game reviewer on CGR Undertow that reviewed this, and he had only played the first 2 or 3 levels and then dismissed the game. Oh, it's boring, it doesn't innovate, it's another standard third-person shooter, I give it an F, And I challenged him on it. I go, well, it's a shame that you can't see the fun of this, because if you gave it a little bit more, a couple more levels into it, you'd see that it actually is an anti-war story behind it, and it's a very thought-provoking. This gets inside your head. You can't get this game out of your head for weeks. It's very intense, and it's layers upon layers of thought that went into it, and it's wasted on gamers that just dismiss it as, oh, it's just another, third-person cover-based shooter. It's a shame they have that kind of approach. These are rich stories. I'll never forget, L.A. Noire, and the wonderful time I spent with this. I had a week off sick in the summertime a couple of years ago. This is one of the finest games I've ever played. I went out of my way to find every collectible. I did all the DLC as I came across it, which I got, the season pass early on. I had the game a year before I played it, because I said, I don't want to touch this game until I'm ready. And The Last of Us is another one which I'm anxious to get to and play when I have an undisturbed amount of time. I could be playing that right now, but I'm actually more excited about sharing what I love about my favorite single-player games. And that's what this year is going to be about. I'm going to be taking some PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games, some Xbox 360 games, and a couple newer ones, and be reviewing them and sharing with you why I'm in love with the single-player experience, why I think campaigns are here to stay, why I don't want to see them go. Even though I think the graphics look fantastic on the Division and the Crew and the new Destiny game, it does look amazing. And giant worlds are creating you can hop into any time, and the worlds continue to evolve. It's not something that I can count on. I don't want to see, you know, other human bots in the world. I want to go into an experience that was designed as a story. If it means it's a little bit more linear, that's okay. Or it could be open world like Far Cry 3 and still have a wonderful arcing story. GTA 5. That's what it's all about for me. So I'd like to hear in the comments what you think about single player games. How important are they to you personally? What are your favorites, your top 3 to 5 favorite single player experiences, and that you'd maybe like to see, you know, in either a sequel or a reboot of? Things that just grab you and never let go. That's why my favorite aspect of gaming, that's my favorite dynamic that keeps me coming back to the console and the TV night after night, is these wonderful experiences to submerge yourself in. And people will never get it. My dad will never get it. Even my wife, sometimes she sees me, oh God, you're still playing that game. Didn't you just play that a few years ago? And I go, yeah, I did, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And so she keeps the volume down and she lets me go out playing. I've almost got it done. It's a long game. I'm going to have some serious time into that game when I'm done. But I'm excited to finally render my final opinion on the game for you out there that perhaps haven't experienced it. There's some great games. Don't pass them up because of low game scores or because they didn't get a lot of reviews or a lot of media coverage or press, because you're really missing out on some delightful experiences. So anyway, that's my rant on single player games. I hope you share the same feelings. It's the thing that I'm the most excited about these upcoming games coming out, and there's some really good ones, is the single player experience. Let's hope it's here to stay. Let's hope it also will be here on physical discs. We can collect them and look at them. Years later, we can continue to go back to those stories. I kind of do it the same with, you know, box sets of DVDs. I'll watch like the X-Files, and then I'll wait 3 or 4 years and I'll rewatch the whole, you know, series again, or box set. I do the same thing with my favorite single player games. I'll let usually 2 to 4 years go by until I really miss the game, and then I can't wait to play it all over again. And then I kind of see it through a whole fresh perspective. Maybe this time I'm a little bit more hip as to the better ways to level up, or missions to, you know, go at different syntax or order. It's a lot of fun. It's one of the things I love about it personally. So let me know in the comments what you think about it. I appreciate you watching, guys. Thanks so much for your support and your kindness in the comments and thoughts and thumbs up. I really do appreciate it very much. And enjoy those games, no matter what they are. Thanks for watching.